Golf Japan Course is the most significant Famicom Disk System game that you might not think of as significant. Golf Japan Course is a sequel to one of the most popular games on the Famicom. It is technically the start of a major franchise. It has a first-of-its-kind event attached to it. It's a good demonstration of a shift in Nintendo policies that have major ramifications for the next 20 years. And it's directly tied to some of the most well-known collectibles in Japanese retro gaming. That is a lot for a game that is, well, golf. Golf Japan Course is the first Famicom Disk System game to be released on a blue disc. Only a handful of Nintendo first-party titles got the blue disc treatment, and this variant added a door that would slide open, something to protect the magnetic media. You might recall that the developer of the original Famicom Golf was HAL Laboratory. However, Golf Japan Course was internally developed by Nintendo themselves. At this point, Nintendo was strongly pulling away from all of the developers that helped them in the early days of the Famicom and completely turning inward. And in the process of doing this, Nintendo wasn't really maintaining their relationships with anyone. HAL didn't know that there was going to be a sequel to their game until it was released. But at this point, HAL had already taken their experience in developing golf games and started making them on computers, though they didn't want to compete with their own game for Nintendo. After this, however, HAL becomes the golf game developer. That includes publishing some golf games on the Famicom, just through other publishers. Nintendo spends the next 5 years burning all of their bridges like this, and essentially reshaping the entire video game industry by people who got burned. Now, if you've ever heard of Golf Japan Course, it's probably because of the contest. If you got what you felt was a really low score, then you could save it to the disk, which would also save your name, phone number, and address. Then take it to one of the disk rewriter kiosks. Normally, these would be used to purchase new games and overwrite the contents of a floppy, but certain ones would be hooked up to a fax machine, and it would read the data off of your floppy and send it to Nintendo. If you were one of the low scores, then you could win a prize. The way the contest worked is that you played 4 rounds of golf, and your best 4 scores were totaled. The winner wound up shooting 80 under par for the entire contest. You had until April to send in your scores, so don't try to do it now, it's way too late. The key prize here was a golden floppy, and there's roughly 5,000 copies of this version of the game out there. People who did especially well might have also gotten a disc case shaped like Disc-kun, the Famicom Disk System mascot. Nintendo's going to take this contest and repeat it in a few months, but I'll get to that in a few episodes. While there had been competitions with console games in the past, they inevitably involved taking photographs of your screen and then sending those in. This was automated. You didn't have to do anything more than buy the game, and then go back to the shop to send your scores in. The response to the contest was so strong that Nintendo had to extend the deadline by 2 weeks. The fax line kept getting jammed up by all those incoming calls. When you start playing Golf Japan Course, you'll notice one big difference from the original Golf immediately. The player's no longer some generic golfer, it's Mario. And if you play 2 players, you have Luigi there as well. That makes Golf Japan Course the first time that Mario has been playable in a sports game. And this is considered to be the first in the still ongoing Mario Golf series. The control scheme's a little bit confusing here. While the A button will do the backswing and then connect with the ball action that you might already be familiar with, hitting select will step away from the ball so that you can perform practice swings. Hitting start will give you a view of the green, as well as the current scorecard. And if you want to change your club, then you have to hold down the B button and press up and down. Holding down B and pressing left and right will change how quickly you swing, and that has an effect on how far the ball goes, but the maximum swing speed is really fast. You'll also notice that the lie of the ball now matters, and this is presented visually on screen. The way that the ball appears at Mario's feet will tell you how the ball is obstructed, if it is at all. You have a much smoother selection of directions to aim the ball in, and as you rotate your shot, it will redraw the screen so that you have a new view of the course. Another major change is that the effect of the wind and slopes on the ball's behavior is a lot more extreme. If you're shooting into a headwind, then the ball will turn around so much it will practically go backwards. Mario seems to be playing golf in a hurricane. The greens are almost as bad. The effect of the slopes is pretty extreme. And making things worse is if you attempt to tap the ball in, you're probably going to jump over the hole. This extreme variation in motion carries over to your regular golf swing, not putting, of course. If you hit a little too early or a little too late, it has an enormous outcome on where the ball goes. If you want the ball to fly straight, then you have to hit it perfectly. And of course there can't be any wind, but the important thing is you have to hit it perfectly. And the course itself is, look, it's not a very good golf course. I mean, there's a par 3 with 130 yards, and a par 5 that is over 650 yards. Those are not normal holes. The layout of the course is similarly weird. This is very much a golf video game rather than a golf simulator. And I think that might be why Golf Japan Course doesn't have a great reputation in Japan. This is much more difficult to play than other 8-bit golf games. It's obviously a more technically advanced game than the original Golf, but over the next year, everyone else is going to release a golf game, and those are going to wind up being much better received. Though, this did sell very well at the time. A little bit more than 700,000 copies. And of those, 80,000 people entered the competition. My feeling is, it's better than the original Golf, but not as good as what's coming up very soon, and that makes it kind of hard to go back to this one. It's an evolutionary step for the genre, but one that's short-lived as the genre quickly moves on.